So what we need to do is, before we start, we have this small ritual over here where you start massaging your hands. Then what you do is you take them apart and then you put them together for Almasa.
Let's start.
You're going up, I'm going down.
No, you were up, I was adjusting. Okay, let's align. Okay, right.
How are you?
I'm super. Thank you so much to all my friends to join me. I'm really touched, and I'm very honored to be next to you for that conversation. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who is Almasa? And we'll start from there.
Okay, Almasa is easier because it's shorter than my previous name. You know, because I've almost 4 decades of professional experience. I come from French conservative roots. My parents were purely French, meaning totally stuck in conservative bourgeois frame, no multicultural in the horizon.
Where in France?
I was born in Lyon, which is a very bourgeois city. Lyon and Bordeaux are the most bourgeois one, and I really belong to the bourgeois.
What does bourgeois means?
Bourgeois means super conservative.
And what do you mean by conservative? In what context?
Well,
is it the religious context or?
It's both religious context because most of the people were Catholic. But conservatives means people with values, which is very good. But sometimes it's not good because it's totally framing the standards and the feelings and the education, because you go straight, but you only go straight. You don't have a vision of 360. So conservative is good for the canvas, but then the embroidery should be much more fun and diverse.
Was it a good thing or a bad thing when you were growing up for you?
It was a torture. It was not a good thing at the time. I really cherish my parents to have given me that education because it's an international passport. When you are well educated, when you are really educated, not only by the school, but by the politeness, the courtesy, the value of honesty and ethic and so on, this is priceless values. So for that, I really thank them. But I escaped at 17.
17?
16 and a half. I escaped.
So since what age did you think it was a torture?
From the beginning, actually.
From the beginning,
yeah.
Meaning?
I was not at the right place at the right moment. What happened, you know, my mom, to make a long story short, my mom married a divorcee who had a son, and then she had my sister. We have 4 years difference, and we came, both sides of my parents came from Italian roots, where like in most of the civilization, it's 1 boy for 2 girls, and they always value much more the boys than the girls. So when my mom was expecting me, first of all, she thought she was sick. Then she realized she was pregnant, so she said, now it's the time for the boy. So she grew me as a boy. And when she delivered the girl, she even didn't choose the name, and she decided that that was a disappointment. So 11 months after, she had my brother, and she asked her mom to raise me till the age of 5. So I didn't catch up really closely with my mom and my parents. So when that comes, it's a big shamble emotionally. It's something that is really tough to live, but you have 2 solutions. Either you go in a very deep depression, frustration, etc., or you decide to stand out. And my color speaks for myself. I choose the second option. And the good thing is that I really, as I was built as a man and grown as a boy, inside, I think like a man, and outside, I'm a perfect woman. So it's a big asset.
You said your grandmother raised you?
Yes. for till the age of 5.
And after that?
My father, who was very absent because he was handling the biggest restaurant in Lyon and he was never at home. He decided that that's enough because I was calling my grandma Mama. So he said she has to come back with us. So I returned, and it was not a happy time for me.
So who raised you as a boy? Your mom?
Life, and I mean, when I was home, I was very girly. Very, very girly. When I left home, I started to be as a man because I was on survival mode. I went as an au pair in England for a year to learn English and to get that free emancipation till I was of age, because at the age of 18, I decided to take my own flat, moved to Cannes, which is 500 kilometers away from my family, with no roots, absolutely no friends, nobody, but a job.
Why no friends and everything?
Because that was a new place, totally
Okay.
virgin start, you know.
Okay.
And I just got a job through a friend of my dad, and my first job was in the Palm Beach Casino, which was at the time the beacon of the high society, and it was at the time, it was in 1980 when the petrodollars were flowing. So I was amongst all these billionaires, gamblers, and starting, you know, to have a very, very easy life. I was spending my day at the beach because we were starting late. It was a night shift, and I had a fantastic life. You know, it was like holidays paid by the tips. I had a basic salary which was very minimal, but it was really fun. I was just, you know, thinking of how should I dress, you know, like really no worry at all. And then it was a summer job. So the first winter we decided to go to Africa with a friend of mine who was working with me. We were supposed to stay 1 month there, and we stayed 3. She got her husband, and I got one husband to be that I didn't want to be my husband. So I returned to Cannes, and I started to face misery because it was no income, and you know, from the embassy, because he was an ambassador, from the embassy where I had boys working for me and so on, I was ending up eating apples because that was the only thing I can afford. And it was only for 4 months. But then I said, okay, next winter I have to find something, you know, to survive, because it's not such a nice mode. And I've always been totally adventurous. I've always been totally independent. So it's at my own risk, you know. It's not like I cannot engage a family in my I wouldn't call it foolishness, because I do it like for the fun of it and for the experience of it and for the stamina that it brings and so on. So I've always had a super excited life that I wish to many people, but very few can afford to live. That's something. But I've always been into the bling bling. I've always been into the world of the rich, the beach resorts, the billionaires, and so on.
And why do you think so?
I think it's in reaction towards my family. We were so opposed to that because, you know, imagine I wait the age of 12 to know what a rent was. We would never speak money at home, ever. It was like the biggest taboo. My dad was the bread, bringing the bread on the table. My mom was handling the family because she then had my brother who is 7 years younger. So she was really a dedicated mama and not at all a businesswoman, but she was a very, very strong manipulative woman, which she passed it on. I got that part of her.
The manipulative part.
Definitely. Which is, I mean, if you do it the right way, it's fantastic.
Can you give us an example?
Oh, so many.
Give one to understand.
No, I mean, she was the way, like, she knew how to make the people turn into her situation. She was manipulating the feeling of the people. I mean, the good side was she was always going and get what she wants. And that I got it. And I use it mostly positively. The bad thing was she was very, very harsh on the feeling of the people. So she would really scrutinize you. She will analyze, you know, your feelings, your attitude, and so on. She will realize the weak point, and then she will go like.
Artificial intelligence.
At that time, yes.
Where is she now?
Upstairs. I mean, yeah, my dad also. I mean, I don't have any more family. The few family that remains, we don't talk anymore. So for me, it's okay, because in life you have books. You open the books, you read them, and then you close the book, you put them on the shelf, and that's it. You have to detach yourself. And when having taken the decision to put that distance, yet helped tremendously, because when you don't see physically the people on a daily basis, you don't miss them as much as when you live with them. That's the way I came up with. I'm not into family. I'm not into children. I'm not into that. Funnily enough, since I am in Dubai, I've totally shifted. Before, I used to be so self-centered, so egocentric, because I've always been living quite in a survival mode, even though I had a very, very fantastic life and great surroundings. What I discover, because I might be the veteran in the room, I don't want to play the elderly woman, but I'm certainly the oldest here, And what I've discovered is the more you get to know the people, the less you appreciate them. That's very sad, but it's very true, because at first you meet someone, everyone will give his best and composed and be reserved and so on. Whether it's family, friend, professional, you always want to do at your best at first, and then you try. The more you get to know, the more lenient you turn to be, and you let it go. And then when you really show your true face, very few people have a very, very nice inside. that's
Yeah, we all have our weaknesses, right?
Definitely. Weakness is very acceptable.
Yes.
What is not acceptable is the dark side of the people,
And why do you think so?
I mean, it's not acceptable. It is. We have to cope with it. It's not that it's not acceptable, but everybody has somebody wrong.
But if you know each other's dark side,
yeah, you
is
have
it
to
acceptable?
cope. Of course. I mean,
It's easier to cope.
when
right?
you love the people, you accept them for the good and for the bad. I've never been married, but that's what you say when you get married. You see, you accept it for the best and the worst. But the worst, you never try to change the people. That's a big advice I can give anyone. Never try to change the people.
You tried to change someone?
Yourself.
No, did you try to change someone else?
Oh, many. Many.
Never worked?
Never worked. But now I could say it worked better because I change myself. So I adapt and align with the person. And this is the secret of happiness. When you manage to align, in Dubai I found my inner happiness because I managed to align my body and soul and align myself with the environment. So this is the pure secret of happiness.
And what do you mean by align? How do you align?
Align means you understand the person, you understand the use, trend, custom, the way of living, the food, the real generic environment, and you either go totally with it or you compose with it. Like, if there is things you don't like, you keep it apart. But like, for instance, I would never eat Asian food with a fork because I was taught to eat it with the chopstick, and that's the way it should be. That's a perfect alignment example. Because that's mean I was not born with that capacity. I was taught by the people who and mostly, funnily enough, by Arab friends.
So when you say alignment, do you mean the external alignment or the internal alignment?
Both. I mean, first, when you manage your own internal.
So how do you do that? That was my question.
Oh, my dear, it's.
I'm
it's
waiting.
a long.
No, make it short.
Long term. No, it's
But
a
how do you do
long
it?
term process.
Okay.
It's a long term process. I mean, I cannot explain it in 2 words, but it's, as I said, you analyze, you scrutinize.
What worked for you?
For me, I'm a chameleon.
So you're naturally like that. You easily adapt.
I really tend to be. I learned it at my expense, and now I do. And as I said, like when I like, I go for it. If I don't like, I adjust it to my liking, and that's the way it goes.
How did you come to Dubai?
Oh, the first time was in '94, so I came to the desert. It was only the World Trade Center, the Sheraton by the Creek, and I was staying in the Intercon. I was dragged here by some financiers, Arabic men, very serious financiers, top financiers in London, you know, and they said, "Oh, come, you know, it's a new market." I said, "Okay, I will." At that time, I was just shifting from yachting because I was. For 25 years into the mega yachting industry, and
Yachts.
Yachts. Yeah,
Yachts.
okay, boats.
Yachts. Boat.
Because there is no, you know, I never ever. Usually the English
I
say
don't know.
yachts, and the Arabs say yacht.
Yacht.
And yacht.
Oh, that's what they say, yachi.
Yeah, yacht. Okay, so I said boats. I was in the boats industry, which was another story because I was a big pioneer in the yachting industry. I was amongst the first ladies in the business because we created the charter, which was renting yachts to the rich and I mean to the well-off people. And I started in yachting in 1985.
You were the first woman.
I was amongst the bunch of first women that started in the profession.
Before that, how they used to do it?
They didn't do it. They were not renting boats.
Oh, they were not. The whole concept started in '95.
85, 84, 83, you know, in
Before
the 80s.
you just had to own a boat and you can.
Exactly. The
There's
concept, it was like a car rental, you know. Before you wouldn't have car rental. I don't know who created it, but, you know.
He's a genius, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we started, and I was because they were the dinosaur of the profession. They were very old ladies, very, you know, like mama type, very serious. And I came and I was the young, the blonde that speaks languages, that was like, hello, you know. And then I had a lot of funny stories.
Okay.
But it was very, very tiring. So in '94, I decided to go self-employed because for 10 years I was working with two big names of the yachting where I learned my school, you know. And then I said, okay, they are making, I'm making a lot of money for them. I can make a bit of money for myself, you know. So I decided to move, and then I said, but I will not do only yachting. I will also do export, import-export, because I've always been into blending culture, you know, filling the gaps. I'm a very agile person. I always identify the things. And my guys said, you know, in Dubai there is nothing. And they were like really top guys. They were highly connected. They said, you know, I said, what do they need? They said, what do you suggest? I said, I can bring some mineral water. They said, excellent, we don't have mineral water. So I came, they arranged a meeting with a top sheikh from the Northern Emirates, and I was with my bottle, and I was, so you see, this water is so and so, and he was like, looking at me instead of the bottle, you know, and he was like, okay, what you are telling me is very interesting, but maybe we can discuss it in a weekend in Venice or in Paris, or you choose. I said no, because I came here to describe it here, and it's here or now, or never. You know, like I was so upset. I was so upset, and it was never. So I was very upset, and the guys were very upset, so it was not a good experience, you know, because at that time, girls would even not go to the restaurants with the people. The local lady will stay home with their family. It will only be Russian blondes or brunette Moroccan, you know. So I was blonde, and they were telling me, you're from Russia? No, why? You know, because it was air hostess and so on. And that was a very, very bad experience. So I let a gap, and 2005 to 2011, I was coming back very regularly, because then I was handling all the Middle Eastern clientele I was living in Cannes, so they will all come for the summer, you know. And then I said, okay, I will go back to Dubai, and Dubai at that time was at the previous plan of structure where you see some buildings getting up and down because they were so badly built that they need to be rebuilt and so on. And it was really something that, it was not the dynamic that then I felt. I had the call in 2007 where the city starts to be really implanted, started to get into tracks. 2008 it slowed down with the crisis, but 2011 it was really starting to raise again, And I mean 2010 it was really starting to raise again, and I said this is definitely the place I have to be.
Because every time you went and took a gap and came back, there was so much of changes, right?
Definitely. I mean, I was living. I remember 1 year I didn't come, and in 1 year they built the link between the Dubai Mall metro station and the mall, and I was like, oh my God. When I walk into it, I said, oh my God. Because in Europe, you stay, you go out, you turn back 6 months after, the building still has raised maybe 1 floor. And here, I was living in a building, they were building a building in front of me, and they were building it a floor per day. Floor per day. In the morning I was taking the picture, in the evening I was taking the picture, and I was like, oh my God. It's amazing. Because I mean, it brings you energy, whether you like it or not. It's in your system, and it's a challenge. It's a very nice competition. It's a permanent challenge. And what I've learned in Dubai is to really always go deep into yourself to get the best version out of yourself. I mean, I'm 57. I'm very, very happy to disclose my age because I want to be very inspirational for men and women, more than women even. I've never done any Botox. I've never done any kind of surgery whatsoever, because what I love is authenticity, it's experience, and it's genuinity, to be really genuine.
Can I add to that you love men?
Indeed, it's part of it. It's part of the diet.
How deep have you gone within yourself?
I have learned to go into myself a lot because I've always been living mostly on my own. I mean, I had many relationships, but I've never been in a wedding relationship whatsoever. And I've always been involved with myself. It's me, myself, and I. But in France, it was me, myself, and I in a very, very selfish, self-centered way. In Dubai, it's me, myself, I to be the best image, to be the role model for the people.
Why did that shift? And what is the difference actually?
I mean, I think the age is a big factor, definitely, because the age give you credibility, give you gravitas, give you respect. I mean, actually, when I was in the yachting and when I was working, generally speaking, I've always been at managerial position, and I fought like 80% of my time, I fought to gain respect instead of doing my proper action. Because I was always the blonde with the figure, with the, and I was like, come on, guys, you have brains too, really, because I mean, France is a disaster. We talk about Harvey Weinstein and so on. I've met him, and his surname is Swiney Weinstein.
Who?
Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein.
Okay.
Weinstein or Weinstein.
Yeah, okay.
But the guy is a pig. The guy is a pig, definitely. And I had to face quite a lot of them. And, after a while, you turn away. You have to be tough. I mean, with the rude people, you have to be rude. Even if you are educated, some people only understand certain words, and you have to align with it,
So at the age of 17, you left home and you became independent on yourself.
Yes.
And you have been fighting your battles by yourself.
Yes, very much.
And along this journey, did you have a mentor, someone who would...
Few.
Yeah?
Few. All along my way, I've always got mentors at different levels. Mostly, for 30 years, I had a relationship with a man who was the biggest lobbyist from Tunisia, placing government-to-government business with France and Italy. And I've learned so much from him, because he is the most intelligent, cultured person I've ever met. He's certainly not the most straight person I've ever met. He has taught me the do, the don'ts, the maybe, and he has given me so many lessons, and he has made me grow tremendously at my own expenses, with tears of blood sometimes, but he really, really taught me a lot. And I had others, mentors, and I mean, in France, it was close relationship. In Dubai, I have so many role models like His Highness and like all the, because in that land, what I love, it's a very brand new country, 45 years old, and I talk a lot with the people. I mean, I'm blessed to have my dear friend Hala here with a real...
She's missing out.
But I learned so much because I have a magical contact with them, because they feel my genuinity. They feel that I'm curious in a very healthy way, and they are very happy to teach. Mostly the ladies. We are blessed to. I'm the contributing ambassador for the Dubai Business Women Council, and our patron is Dr. Raja Al Ghurg. The vice president is Faiza Al Sayed, and I sat with them. And Madame Faiza, she was telling me how much she had to fight against her family to go to school. And they are super well-off people. They are super influent family, So I was telling them, when you go to Vuitton, we had a session at the Dubai Business Women Council. I was telling them, when you go to Vuitton to buy a bag, you can buy the whole shop. But you are not interested by the bag, because for you the most important is education. It's not like this frivolity and fashion and of course it's part of your society and it's part of looking good and so on. But for them, their most important thing is education. So it has brought me. It's a throwback for me, because I'm passionate about learning. I adore learning. I'm totally rebellious against school. You cannot frame me. So I brag to have a PhD at the University of Life, because that's the best school,
I want to ask your friend. It seems like there is a question that I'm not asking her.
No. She's doing very well.
Is there any...
She's my coach.
I've known Almasa very well, and she's as candid as can be.
But my question to you is, what is a question that I'm not asking her?
Honestly, you've touched on all the sensitive things. Maybe you should ask the people that don't know her, because from her speaking, we can pick up some things.
I wanna...
She's a very giving person. I must say, she's a very white soul. So what you see is what you get. She doesn't. No, I was just saying, she's a very white soul. Very, what you see is what you get. Very giving. I mean, she puts in this pompous, arrogant look, but she's not really. Once you know her really well, she can be a mentor. She can be a trainer. She can be a life educator. She's not a life coach by degree, but she can give a lot. And I've seen her with men older than her, with females younger than, with teenagers, and yeah, she's very patient. So, and I think that comes from her, that camouflage and that chameleon in her, that she's been all around, she's been exposed. She's quite refined in her knowledge, but she doesn't, and I think she brags about it, but brags it in a good way. If you know what I mean. Like, it's good to boast what you know you're good in and confident in. There's no harm in that. But if I find you're empty, then I don't want to hear more about you. So,
thank you.
I'm very proud to know her as a friend.
I have a question for
Yeah.
And you need the mic.
No, I know Almasa, and I was privileged to have dinner with her. This is when I know that she loves
At the
mandi.
mandi.
And the best part of her is that she's so connected to everything that she can eat at any time.
That's
She doesn't
my
have
French
any
side.
limits. No, I have went with her for 3 different meetings in 3 different locations and 3 different days. And every time she will come dressed as in the color of the sofa she will be seated at. I swear to God. First time I thought it's coincidence. But second time and third time, She will come and we will be seated and the place empty next to me will be the color of the sofa of what she's dressing. So I always ask her, what is your secret? And she said, because I'm aligned. Now, it's like someone coming to me and saying, Samir, how you speak so well? How can you speak like you? My question for you is, what is that ritual you do every morning? Even though you're late, you wake up late every time. This is your habit. You like to sleep a lot,
I wake up very late.
This is good. So you love everything in life. But what's that you do that makes you really aligned? Now you dressed in a yellow jacket and you came and sit in the yellow couch. So it's everything so smooth and aligned with the environment. How does it really work? What is that you practice to make your mind so at peace so your selections are matching the environment you are going to?
I do a lot of meditation. I mean, I turn to be very, very spiritual in Dubai. When I wake up every morning, first thing I do, I mean, we will come to that, but as I mentioned, I'm a Catholic and I remain as such. But I've discovered the beauty of Islam in Dubai. And every morning and every evening before going to sleep or waking up, first thing I say is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa Allah Akbar, Alhamdulillah. And I'm expecting the best to come for that day. Okay, and this aligns me for the day. So, because I only expect the good. Of course, I collect shit. I mean, there is not pink days every day. But the good thing, when you turn spiritual, when you collect the shit, you absorb it in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days the maximum. Before, oh my God. Before it was a drama. Now, I've found a technique, which is when I really get something disturbing, I have my pillars. I mean, like my friends here, where I said, hello, what happened, blah, 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 and you take it out, you pour it out, which in French we said, a problem disclosed is a problem half solved. So, if you don't keep it on you and you share it, of course, people can, maybe help you or maybe ease you or maybe release you. So that's one of the things. But to be aligned, it's definitely based on the experience and in aging. I mean, nobody can avoid it. Everybody is aging. Bless God for that. Really. Bless God, because you learn so much from life. Yeah. If you open your eyes the right way, if you open your heart the right way and your mind the right way, that's it.
How do you know it is the right way? How do you know it is the right way?
Because you feel fine. I mean, what is fine for me might not be fine for you. But for me, what is the right way is that I'm extremely well in my skin, extremely well in my brain. Even if I'm like tired or whatsoever, I'm very at peace with myself. Very at peace. And sometimes I said, what did you do that? And I talk to myself, but then I align it. I correct it, and it's not like no, because I was raised no. My parents, it was like when we were at the table, we were not allowed to speak if we were not given the words. We had to sit like that, not the elbow on the table and so on.
No bean bags.
No bean bags. Yeah, we had bean bags. Yeah, we had bean bags. My brothers had bean bags, not the girls. Okay. No, we had bean bags because that was the fashion, in the 70s. It was very fashionable. Okay. And no, it's true. It come back to fashion.
It's a very old thing we have here.
It's a very old thing, and it was very hippie. It was very hippie kind, Yeah. It was like very, very. But now I found out it's so comfortable. It's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it really aligns with your body also.
Yeah, total alignment.
Total.
Questions?
It will be really interesting to see a lady. Thank you so much. It's really my pleasure to listen your story. Very for ladies, like okay, that's interesting. I was thinking when I'm 50 or 60, what I'm doing, but yeah. So first of all, really, really amazing story. I really, touched by your story, personal story. To me, it will be like a lady. You say I'm not married, right?
Absolutely not.
My first question will be, I regret, what's your, as traditional, like you say, you grow up, you have to behave, you're supposed to behave like a family, have different education requirements. I'm sure your parents expect you get married at 20 or 30, something like that. I'm sure you have your personal plan, when this time I have these children, grandchildren, etc. But yeah, in general, as a lady, right, what's your personal life, what's your thinking so far, or what compare your initial when you're teenagers or when you're younger? Do you have something changing in general?
Well, I'm very, very strongly involved into women empowerment because I'm a warrior in the right sense of, I'm a strategic person, and I love to defend some causes, and I love to speak for the people who don't dare to speak, and for the needy and so on, because what I've realized, I'm blessed to have a strong image. I have the respect of the age and so on. So I'm more male-ish in that sense than womeny, and I've never been into the family couple shame, never regretted, because I've always been a career woman. I've totally been business-oriented, career-oriented, and
But yeah, if in general society we always say, ladies should have a family.
yeah, of
otherwise
course. I mean, I'll give you an example. I went, when I was in the boating business, I went to the launching of a big shipyard with all the creme de la creme, and the owner of the shipyards, who actually is the owner of Fauchon, who belongs, he was strongly involved politically and so on. So I came to the place and he said, "Oh, so nice to meet you. You're the wife of, to whom are you married?" I said, "To myself." Because I said, "Do I really need to be a wife?" He said, "No, but it's surprising." I said, "But I'm a human being and I'm on my own, and I'm very happy to be on my own." Because in France you exist as the wife of, I don't accept that.
There's somebody who actually got married to themselves recently, right? It was in the news.
Really?
Yes.
So I have a
legally.
competitor. I have a competitor.
No, that was legal.
Legal.
Legally, they got married to themselves.
Really?
Yes.
But what is the
There's a lady who got married to some.
But what's the sense of it?
She just wanted the experience of the marriage.
Okay. So, she put herself the ring and so on.
Dressed up, she put a ring.
Yeah, she wanted to have the experience of getting married.
Yeah. Okay.
She had a wedding
I
experience.
mean, you go and try a wedding dress and that's it,
Please call us to your wedding, Almasa.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure. We can make that. I like that idea. This
You
is
like that
crazy
idea?
enough to like This is crazy enough for me, yes.
So I met this gentleman a long time ago.
You want to fix me?
No. Fix you? No.
Waiting.
That was like in 2000, 2001. And I was living on a farm at that point of time. And this gentleman, he was a hippie from some country, I don't know from where also. And I went with him to the market, and he was picking up clothes, and he was looking for the clothes that nobody would wear. I would think that, who would pick up this? And he says, "This is what I want." And I remember the scene where so after a week he was going into the market. We used to live on a farm, and after a week we were going into the market, and he said, "Let me go pick up some footwear." In the shop, he suddenly saw his reflection. He was, "I'd never seen my face like this before." And his hair was completely, I said, "I need to buy a shampoo." Because his hair was that bad. But he never used the shampoo. But the point I'm making is, the clothes that you wear are completely, they stand out. Is it a reflection of the young child that you were, who always wanted to rebel with everything because you were boxed in so much that you said, "Never I will allow myself to be boxed again, never I will allow anyone to tell me what to do, never will I comply with what the society expects me to do"?
Well, actually, I have my own style, and I like to stand out. And I like, on top of everything, I like elegance. Not only in fashion, I like elegance. and I go to the most improbable places where you wouldn't think, like your friend, seeing clothes that nobody will wear, and I managed to put them on a very, very elegant and different way. So it's definitely a way. Princess Diana said that when you wear bright colors, you make yourself much more approachable from the people. So definitely, for sure, there is that type of action and thinking. But I like to be disruptive. I like to be noticed. I like to be outstanding.
Yeah.
So, and I have developed that image advisory, which is to help the people to go within their own wardrobe and wear things differently, because for men usually it's it's not easy, because I have Italian friends in their 70s. They go for pink trousers with yellow jacket in a very, very elegant way, and I love originality. I love people that outstand one way or the other, as long as they remain elegant, and as long as there is an education and a meaning, decency. Decency is essential. I would never. Before in France, I was dressing very revealing. Since I live here, for me, it's not an effort. It's just normal to dress modestly, to cover myself, and I wear abayas during iftar. I adore the abayas, and it's, for me, it's normal.
True.
It's normal.
No, when I said that guy was looking at clothes, that was my immature mind thinking at that point of time, because if there was a cloth that was there, definitely somebody would buy it. It's the same as when I go into a supermarket, I see some item and I think, who would buy these things? But there's somebody who's
always, yellow car.
There's always somebody.
Or a yellow car. Who is driving a yellow car,
No, these socks, for example.
Yeah.
There's a statement actually,
True.
there are different socks.
True.
It's like you don't need to confirm.
We
are aligned,
Yeah, we are aligned.
Our right legs both are yellow, you see?
Exactly.
Completely aligned.
Exactly.
And blue is for boys and pink is for girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for having me, Jen.
I see your
See,
dress
even
is
I
like
aligned with Almasa
France
today.
and Arabic combination. Because style is the same time you cover everything, and with bling bling Arabic traditional. So yeah, I've been to Paris. I like the freedom culture, but at the same time I feel that's really interesting story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
I see your accessories mostly, and I see, for example, you have Allah, sometimes Kaaba, and you have a lot of Islamic within your clothing. So I want to ask you why and from where you got that inspiration.
Okay, so this is my legacy that you are looking at. No, really, because since I live in Dubai, by living in the premium security of Dubai, I have been blessed to discover the beauty of Islam. And it came sadly when the atrocity committed in its name started in France with Je suis Charlie, where it has been a big empowerment of the nation to go against it. Then the Bataclan was a catalyst, and not to mention the Nice episode, because I was living in Cannes and I was absolutely appalled and revolted. So I look at a way to react and change the mindset globally of the people, that they think automatically that Islam is terrorism and every Arab is a Muslim, because there is many Muslims that are not Arabs. And anyway, I went and looked at the Quran, and the Quran, Islam is a religion of self-respect and respect of the others, and it's made very much of sharing, generosity, and tolerance. So I've articulated a whole collection around that. Every piece is different, but very similar, to have an identification code, and I'm developing it to make it universal moves with most of the big brands and the movers and shakers to implement it globally. I'm in talks with the ministry here and so on to really make a change in the community and bring, tolerance, peace, and beautiful things to the world. Because if we don't start by ourselves, it will never happen.
What do you do today, Almasa?
So many things.
Primarily, how do you box yourself?
I don't.
I know.
That's the
Okay.
best and the worst.
Okay.
That's the best because every day I have so many things different. It's the worst because sometimes I need to be framed and I really need 72 hours a day. I mean, I went to bed at 5 a.m. And I try to wake up decently, not too Saudi time, So, but still, I'm a big lack of sleep these days.
It's easy to get 72 hours.
Yes, for in a week. you know
No,
the
in a day.
No, you know the joke.
In a day, you can get it, yeah.
Okay, give me the
I
tip.
get it.
Yeah.
Hire 2-3 people to do the work.
But no. I wish it's that easy. But you see, the thing is, most of my actions are based in reading articles that I need to identify and I need to read them. So I cannot delegate, because it will take longer to say, read this one and tell me about it, because you need to train the people. Because my line of business is totally unusual in the sense that it's all based on my intuition, perception, connection, networking, So if I even share it, I give away a big part of my wealth. And
That's your legacy.
That's my legacy. And my mantra. I mean, some of them, I've created my mantra here, which is past is my wealth, present is my addiction, and future is my dream. Which means, it really reflects my life.
Any questions? Yes. Yes.
Here we have a mic.
Yeah, okay,
Saima.
go ahead.
Yeah. So,
Saima.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Go on.
Almasa,
Natasha.
thank you for sharing your absolutely fascinating life story. It's really very inspiring and touching. And I got a question about your name. So you mentioned that you changed your name, and for me, it's a question about what was the moment when you decided to change your name. And was it the moment of celebrating a new person that you breed inside of you, or it was like act of rebelling against of your past and open new door or new chapter of your life, whatever. So just explain it to me. What was the moments that brought you to the point when you decided to change your name, and how it helps you or affects your life.
Okay,
And
very good question.
Created a new
Very good
personality
question.
inside of you.
First of all, I didn't change my name because I convert, like some people would think. I changed my name because I have a very French name that, first of all, I never liked. But
What was that?
Françoise.
Huh?
I said that I prefer to forget it. Françoise. So I say it. You can hardly repeat it, but when they read it, it came to so many twisted versions that I've decided that totally forget about it. Although when I need to play my French side, I put it up front, But
So what does your passport say?
Françoise, that's my official civil name. Almasa, I choose it because it's an Arabic name, which means diamond, and I choose it exactly, and also it's a very easy name to pronounce. It doesn't sound too Arabic. If I go to Europe, it sounds more Spanish and so on, and it's again, the local, they said, "Oh, Almasa, you know what it means?" I said, "Not only I know, but it's a message." And it works. It's a message.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the most funny thing is that my family has totally rejected. Don't talk to me, since they think I convert. They name me Enraged. So I leave them for what they are.
Work, you have so many diamonds now?
So many friends.
Friends are treasures.
She can enter a room of 1,000 and she honestly will attract. And if women more than men, the room will just move towards that.
Yeah,
I've
no,
been and seen it live.
I have a problem. I'm never on time. So whenever I enter a room, I do my grand entrance, and people really noticed.
Okay, I'll just give one time it happened. happened, honestly, we had it was a big seminar and a lot of guest speakers international. And we all followed, we all came in, and only she was chosen. And I don't know why. I think it's the colors. Yes, Your Excellency, please in the front row.
So if you drove her here, then she's excellency.
And then I remembered, oh yeah, she had some delegation behind her. Thank you. But she's still 71, and we were all bumped.
Yes, there's a question, yeah.
Yes,
Hi.
Alma.
I know Almasa now for a few years, and just to reiterate what Hala has said, she does have a very pure soul, very giving, very caring, very generous, doesn't say a negative word about anything. I could call Almasa up and say this happened and that happened, and she'll put a positive spin to it. So it's so pure, it's really pure, and it's from the heart. So my question to Almasa is, granted you don't have a crystal ball, but how do you see your future? What would you like Almasa to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years' time?
Well, that's your job to put the planning into place. No, Saima is into finance as well as into etiquette. And I mean, my weakness is that I cannot plan because I live on the present. The way I see, I want really to make an impact by helping the needy and get at a very high level where I will be listened and my voice can spread convey any type of message and solve many problems. That's definitely what I want to do. And I mean, I face many disappointments because, my grandma used to say, in French we said, bon et bête commence par la même lettre, means good and good and stupid starts by the same letter, okay? Because so many people take advantage when you are really kind, And even though before I was extremely revengeful, because extremely revengeful. And then I found out that it's so poisonous, it's so toxic, and it's waste energy for nothing. So now I go and I play it very smart, but very hush sometimes. Like, if you fetch me, you find me. Recently had an episode where some people were very, very unpleasant, and it was a workshop, and the lady she has an issue with me personally because she's jealous of me. As I come, she said, Almasa, I did notice you are overacting on the social media, so I don't want you to take any picture of the workshop. Which is a very nice way to welcome your guest, I was like, okay. And the workshop was absolutely not what it was supposed to be. And she came, and I was with some Indian friends that I brought, coach guys, and I said, I don't understand, what's the purpose? We are wasting time. They said, it's very confusing. She came, I said, really, I'm terribly sorry, I'm out of it, and I don't understand the purpose. She said, but Almasa, do you really have a business? Like, really in a very aggressive way. I said, okay, actually it's late, I will name it today, okay? And I leave. And what I did, instead of putting a very bad feedback that I felt like, I was very, very upset, I took the picture of the guy with me with a big smile, and I said, thanks to my co-supportive team worker for the most confusing workshop I've ever attended, because delivery, delivery insightful contents, it's an art in itself, and certainly not to be by pretend to be experts that are a total waste of time, genius experts that are a total waste of time. So this way she will know that I'm answering, but I didn't put any name whatsoever. So the people who organized the event said, actually, we had very bad feedback, and I showed them, explained the situation. They said, but you don't mention anything. I said, no, because I have too much respect for you. You made a mistake. Okay, it can happen. We can have bad workshop, but that's it. And
Tell nice things about awesome walkers, okay?
of course, awesome things. Awesome. I always do. No, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. We are coming to. We can take one more question.
My question is regarding the University of Life, what it is all about. Is just a concept or it is
No,
what?
it's every day you learn. Every day. I mean, your life is the best school, you know?
Can I just comment on that? Even with all due respect, at your age, when you post on social media, you really get so much likes and attraction, even on LinkedIn. Like you'll find 13,000 people viewing her photo, 8,000 liking it. She is up to date with all the changes in life. It's very impressive.
The maximum was with Imran Khan. When I post a picture, I got 38,000. 38,000. And the youngest entrepreneur, who was 9 years old, running 4 companies, 36,000, you know. Because also you have to put a consistency in the comment. It's not just appearing in picture, you know. I always put a consistent comment when I post.
What is impressive is that at your age, very few people are there who adapt to technology like that.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Did you start yet?
True. No, because I start working with a typing machine.
Yeah.
Typing machine, you know.
I used to type.
And the notepad.
Yes.
And that was it. And it was wow. Then comes the mobile. The mobile was the revolution. The mobile phone. It was in the 80s. It was a revolution.
Yeah.
90s. It was in the 90s. You know, first we had the suitcase.
Yeah.
Which was seriously. It was so heavy and so expensive because it was like a
you're
satellite.
Saying you're very young.
Yeah, it was that big, you know. And then I remember the first mobile I had. It was like, oh my God, you know. And it was far from the technology of today.
Wonderful.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I said in the very beginning, let me share this with you. When you watch a movie, you cry, right? You cry because you laugh, you cry, you feel joyous. And you know it's not true. You know the movie or the story is completely made up. Still you do it because something about that story resonates with your story. My question to you is, when you were listening to Almasa, what was going through your minds and how are you going to apply the principles of ACT? Before you start speaking, just pick one card and
let's see your alignment.
Don't say anything. Let them speak. Yeah.
What I learned from
it's always like that,
from
right?
your story, from knowing Almasa, is really, and what I will teach you as well, is that we don't have different cultures. In this world, in the past 20 years, I'm seeing a lot of examples that the problem the society had in Lyon is the exact problem that Sami is facing with his family. It's the very similarity. We are very similar in Pakistan, India, Dubai. Doesn't make any difference. A local individual lady in a conservative Emirati family is facing the exact problem that Almasa is facing in Lyon. There's only, they speak Arabic, they speak French, they're Christians, these Muslims, but the society is the same. We are, after all, from the same body. And that's what I really learned. There's no differences.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Sometimes Sami says intelligent stuff. Yes.
No more comments.
So as a friend, what are you getting? What did you get?
What am I learning with Almasa?
Today's conversation.
Well, thank you, Almasa, for sharing your story, because you've trusted us with your story, and it's quite touching that, because you've gone through the ups and downs, you've gone through the hurt and the pain and the emotion, and you've trusted us with your story. So thank you for that.
What are you taking away?
What am I taking away? I'm taking Almasa as an inspirational soul who I would like in my life for the rest of my life.
What will you do about it?
To
For
keep
yourself.
Almasa?
For yourself.
For myself? Almasa has always been like a mentor for me.
Okay.
So the first day I met Almasa was at an entrepreneurial course. And as soon as she came in, it's what Hala said, literally all heads turned to Almasa. And Almasa came and sat on my table. So automatically her energy was so positive. It was so inspiring. The energy coming towards me was very welcoming and warm. And so that's something I've kept with Almasa.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Soraya? Yeah.
Well, I must say I'm a huge fan of the beautiful ensemble that you look like. It does look like a fantastic abstract painting with a lot of intelligence. So I'm going to try that because tomorrow is Friday. I don't think. No, I'm definitely walking out with blue, yellow, leopard print, and red in that order. This is a very personal observation, but just as you were talking about your family, Alma said, I guess for me it was a strong reflection, a moment to reflect on how blessed I am because I have a phenomenal father who is the center of my universe. And I just realized that, it's a blessing to have parents, a family that's super supportive when they're everything for you. And I'm sure Sujit, who is coming up next, would also agree about having a father that truly is worth dying for. And I think when you have any member, any person in your family, who is that, because in many ways you're protected, that cocoon that is provided, the safety where you don't have to be on survival mode. I think I feel immensely grateful for that. Yeah, and I do feel like going and give him a massive hug just for being the person that he is, because I reached out to you for that. I was like, oh wow, I wish I could loan my dad to you for 2 hours, to the younger self, to your younger self. Yeah, that's a phenomenal blessing to have. So I feel supremely blessed. I'm not giving him to anybody, not even to a dog. So it's okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Soraya? Soraya, you want to say something? No?
I must drive everyone's attention here that you're wearing yellow and blue socks, and she's wearing yellow and blue this.
Yeah.
You're aligned.
You're aligned.
I would like to say thank you. Thank you. I know a little bit your story. We grew up in Lyon.
Yeah, it's very
and
funny.
we lived in Cannes and we met in Dubai.
Exactly.
So it's
we come from the same place. We are almost the
conservative
same
family
age.
as well.
We live in the same cities. We never met in
we
France.
never met before.
We met in Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Indeed.
Lovely.
Indeed.
Okay.
Harika?
Wherever I go, Mike follows me.
Ayman? Ayman? Yeah.
Hello, Almasa.
Hello, Ayman.
I remember the first time I met you in the Women Council as well, and I feel like today you send me a lot of messages. Yeah, I could receive all the gifts you are sending, and most of it is around like any, for example, the best plan is you never plan, and that's I've like I left some part of my life in that, and I get a lot of criticism on that, but I'm okay with that. I'm yellow also, I'm aligned with you today. So, and then after that event, if you remember, we met a couple of events. Like we were like, I don't know what's happening. So why are you following me? He's like, why are you following me? It was like, and yeah, we had a lot of conversation as well. So today is like kind of recap in my mind also that to be your unique diamond and to be yourself, and that's a magic. And follow your intuition as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you.
My lesson from Almasa's speech and sharing this story is that there are no limitations at all, that no your background can define you, no your friends and family, but only you and yourself who can create a new version, a better version of yourself, and you can be whenever you want it, you can be whoever you want. And yeah, just go for gold. That's it. So simple, and be happy. Almasa is a source of her happiness, and she's always smiling. She's always in a positive mood, and yeah, it's so inspiring because it's a person who is living her happy life from inside.
You said go for gold.
Yeah.
You said go for diamond.
For diamond.
It's like say all this gold, and
Without gold, you cannot hold the diamond. So both are important.
All right.
Very true.
Yeah.
True.
I'm expert in that.
Yeah.
True.
Yes. Let's.
Anya, no? Okay.
Okay.
Anya?
Last one. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, last one. Okay, my name is Anya, and I know Almasa since 1 year, I think now. I like her positive personality and the bright personality. I always also choose to wear bright colors. We have some similarity. We lived in France. I mean, she's French. I lived in France. And about, I think when you have this positive approach that everything is possible, then everything is possible. And this is how we really are, flying in life. Okay, you fall. Okay, you clean your clothes and you continue the journey, and just keeping in mind that today is another day when everything is possible. So I think it's a great approach, and I appreciate this in Almasa, and I like to keep it for myself as well, to see myself for many years, to enjoy the magic of this life.
Thank you.
Anya is my Qigong teacher. She's my Qigong teacher. Qigong. Qigong is it's martial spirit. Yes.
Oh, Qigong.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, lovely.
Yes, also.
All right. What does the card say?
Okay. The card says strategy without leadership will have no momentum.
Wow.
Leadership without strategy will have no direction. This is so true.
How it applies in your life?
Well, I'm so much of a strategy, and I turn to be so much of a leader through the strategy.
Okay.
Okay, so strategy is the base of everything, the base of every action, which can be either used as manipulation or as leadership. I mean, leadership is it's a form of manipulation.
Your strategy, you said, is living in the now, nothing for the long term.
Yes, but I mean, strategy is not planning.
Okay.
Strategy is acting accordingly. It's putting things into action.
Okay.
That's the way I see leadership. It's not like planning, but it's very much directing, Then, as the direction comes, you have to adjust it and align it again.
Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.